Electrical conduits. We've got lots of different styles of conduits, lots of different sizes of conduits. We've got a few different colours of conduits. We've got lots of fittings. We've got tools that we use for our conduits. Conduit cutters, for example. Nice and easy. Cut it off. Grey conduit. We've got a white conduit. We've got orange conduits. Then we've got lots of different types of fittings for those conduits. We've got a grey conduit here with, there's the bell end of your conduit. Conduit comes with a bell end and a plain end. Typically these things are in 4 metre lengths, so I've just cut these down to make it nice and easier so that I can show you guys. So that's the bell end. The bell end is specifically designed to basically go over the plain end of another conduit so that we can extend them. And then we've got couplings. Couplings are for connecting different conduits together. They don't have to be different conduits, just conduits. So basically we've got a corrugated conduit, makes it nice and easy to get around corners, around some of those tight little spaces. We've got different types of junction boxes. We've got a right angle 90-degree junction box with an inspection plate on it. We've got a 3-way junction box, and we've got a 4-way junction box. And this is just a few, guys. There's lots and lots and lots more of them out there. We've got IP rated junction boxes. IP rated junction box with a clear face. This one here, we can drill holes into it and put glands on it, plain to screwed adapters on it. You'll see that over here in a minute, and use those. We've got different types of elbows. We've got an inspection elbow there. We've got a 90-degree elbow, and we've got a sweeping elbow. So the benefit of these little tight 90-degree elbows to get you around those tight little corners, and a sweeping elbow is just a lot easier to try and pull cables through on a long cable run. We've got our standoffs. We've got saddles, standoffs, lots of other things. We've got plain to screwed adapters. We've got our conduit cutters that you saw before. We've got bending springs, and we've got lots of other tools that we can use. Oh, deburring tool. Another important tool that we use when we're doing junction boxes, especially the IP rated junction boxes. What we don't want to do is leave any burrs behind. If we drill a hole and there's a burr on it, we use a deburring tool to remove that burr to make sure that we get a nice clean fitting there. So that's just a few things that we're going to be looking at in this particular video. It's just scratching the surface of what we can do with these conduit systems. It's just looking at some of the conduit fittings, the junction boxes, and how we can use those systems. So very, very small overview. The systems themselves are, well, there's lots and lots and thousands of different junction boxes and elbows and fittings that we can use, but this is just an overview, guys. Hope you enjoy it, and let's get into it. Okay, so in Australia we have a colour coding system that tells us what the conduits are for. The conduits themselves, they're not only colour coded, but they have different thicknesses of wall lining and everything else, and they're basically there to obviously, I should probably get into that. The purpose of the conduits is to provide a number of things. One is mechanical protection against any bumps, anything hitting the conduits or hitting the cables, so that the cables are protected inside the conduit. It's also to provide protection against electromagnetic induction, any sort of noise that can be coming in from external appliances, external devices, engines, motors, any other cables that might be carrying, might be having DC fluctuations or might have a lot of noise introduced into them. So very, very important. We'll get into that a lot more later on in some other videos. But essentially this one here is typically the one that I use most in building applications, and these are the ones that I'm going to be using in my boat. This is this one here is 25mm grey medium density conduit. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the writing on that. So that's a 25mm conduit in a grey. So that's for our, I'm using this for my DC electrical circuits. So we go from the grey, we can go to a white. The white has a purpose. The white is color coded again, and it's for communications cabling. So when we talk about communications cabling, we can be talking about, ooh, what happened there? Something fell over. We can be talking about Cat 5, Cat 6, Ethernet cabling, communications cabling, and things like that. Again, as per the Australian standards, it's actually marked AS, I believe it's AS 3000, that actually ensures that the states that the conduit must be marked with the size of the conduit, type of conduit, and what it's for. So here you can clearly see that this is a communications, what does it say, communications conduit for communications cabling. As I said before, typically for Cat 5, Cat 6, Ethernet cabling and communications, voice cabling, stuff like that. So we've got our grey cable, and then we've got this bad boy here. So this is an orange cable, orange conduit. So this is a little bit smaller, this is a 20mm, but all of these come in different sizes. I'll talk about that in a second. So this one here is a 20mm UPVC electrical, and this is a high density HD conduit. And what we use that for, typically these sort of conduits are used underground. And then the different sizes of the conduits. So these ones here, as you can see, so I've got this one's a 20mm, this one here is 25mm, and then we can get up to different sizes. So typically starts at 16, 20, 25mm, 32, 40, 50mm, and upwards from there. So this one here is a 50mm conduit, same style or the same medium density grey conduit that I showed you there before. So basically what I've got on there is a coupling and an elbow. Now, as a rule of thumb, don't always clean up the edges. If we're going to glue a conduit together or whatever, then this sort of burring and everything doesn't matter. It matters a lot when we're using other things like our plain screw adapters. We'll have a look at that. So that's our 50mm conduit. This here is a coupling. So the coupling goes over the conduit so that we can join two of the conduits together. So here's a corrugated conduit. So rigid conduit, coupling, corrugated conduit, and the corrugated conduit is used for going around bends and everything. Really, really good if you can't get, let's say, then this is an elbow. This is goes over the top, gives us a bit of a 90-degree turn in our system, and we can put our corrugated conduit in there like that, do whatever we want, bend it around, go in a different direction if we want. There's a lot of different ways that we can do these things. So this particular video is just to give you an idea of the basics and the sort of systems that are available to us anyway. So that's our 50mm medium density conduit, coupling, it goes on there. You can see that in this back, and I'll show you that in a second. And that's pretty much it. We've got some of the tools over here, some of the tools that we use, in addition to using our elbows and a corrugated conduit. We can also use a bending spring. So the bending spring will go inside the conduit, we bend it around. That's a video for another day. Then we've got a whole bunch of fittings. So some of the fittings that we can use. If we want to join two, I'll show you this over here, and that's why I set up this thing over here anyway. I'll show you that in a minute. But we've got couplings. So a coupling, if you've got a conduit that you need to join, you get a coupling and you put that on there, and we can join two pieces of conduit together. That's a coupling for a 25mm conduit. Then we've got elbows. We've got a 90-degree elbow, so that's a very tight elbow, as you can see there. And then we've got a slightly sweeping elbow. You can get different ones. It's not as sharp as that one. Now the reason that sometimes if we want to go around a concrete block wall or something like that, then we might use that. Or in a boat, a wall in a boat, doesn't really matter. We can use that. The thing I should mention too is when we talk about these sort of elbows, there is a note in the AMSA requirements that it does talk about a requirement to use sweeping elbows. That's this type of elbow, and corrugated conduit. But it also states a corrugated conduit should only be used when necessary to get around corners, and should be as short as practically possible. We'll have a look at that in a second as well. So that's our elbows. I always prefer these. A lot easier to get a cable through a sweeping elbow than it is around a tight elbow like that. Alright. Then we can get some other fittings. This is what we call a plain to screw adapter. So this allows us to join conduit to a junction box. And again, over there, I'll show you that in a second. So we just basically plain end. Oh geez, normally it wouldn't be that hard. I've got a bit of a, there we go. And then that goes into the junction box and we lock it off with the locking ring. Okay guys, so this is our little setup here. This is something that I've set up just to show you guys what the conduits are, the junction boxes, how everything sort of fits together, and how you can potentially use them wherever you want, in a car, caravan, boat, whatever. In your house, doing some data work or some ELV electrical work. Just remember, here in Australia you must be a licensed electrician to do any electrical wiring, any LV work. So have a look at this. So basically our junction boxes, we've got our plain to screwed adapter there, our plain to screwed adapter with the locking ring there. Big note, whatever you do, make sure you've got to drill these holes into the junction boxes. You can drill them wherever you want, into the sides, top, bottom, whatever. Just make sure you leave enough room when you drill that hole for that locking nut. I've done it plenty of times where I've drilled my hole, gone to put the locking nut on, and then realised it doesn't fit. So I've had to throw that junction box out, grab another one, do it again. So in this particular case, I'm just going to go through it step by step so you get a bit of an idea of what you can do. You might not want to go to these sort of extremes, but this just gives you an idea of what we do. So we've got junction box there, got our plain to screwed adapter, we've got a corrugated conduit there, so that's our flexible corrugated conduit. We're going into a coupling. This is our coupling here. So that coupling just allows us to join one conduit to another, whether it be a rigid conduit to rigid conduit or rigid conduit to corrugated conduit like I've got here, then it doesn't really matter. It's just a joining appliance, coupling. So we go from a corrugated conduit, our coupling, I've got another piece of rigid conduit there going into my junction box. That just allows me to give that join in there and makes it so that I can join up my single junction box. Then we come across here. So this section here is an inspection tee. Normally, as a rule, when we're running cables or conduits through a building, we might want to basically put a pull point, so, or a tee in. We can use these come in lots of different shapes. We can see over here, here's an example. We've got a two-way junction box. We've got another two-way 90-degree junction box, like I was showing you. Excuse me, a three-way junction box, and this inspection tee here. So it doesn't matter whether you're in a building, in a boat, whatever, we put these tees in to give us a pull point or an inspection point. We might want to go back and inspect some junctions. You can put junctions in there, but it might be a point where we run a whole heap of cables through here, we get the cables to here, and we want to turn a hard right into this section here to get across to this junction box. So we put a tee, an inspection tee in there. We can pull that wire out and then push it back through here. Makes it a little bit easier, especially on those big long runs. So that's an inspection tee. We've got our saddles. So these are just zinc saddles. They're not stainless steel saddles. You can get your saddles in single-sided saddles, you can get double-sided saddles, you can get gal, zinc, you can get stainless steel, and I believe you can get plastic. I've never used plastic saddles in my life, but I believe they're out there. You can also get these clips. Have I got a clip here? Okay, let's go down to my little box here for a second. All my stuff, here we go, here's a clip. So that is basically the clip that I've got on the wall there. Now this conduit is quite dirty, guys, don't hassle me for that. I've probably just picked it up from my storage shed somewhere or whatever and cut it off. Didn't realise it was so dirty before I started doing this video. I would have cleaned it otherwise. But these clips basically help us if we want to stand it off the wall for some reason. Or we don't want to use metal conduits, metal saddles. We can just basically use those clips, and that it's nice and easy to get off as well. So that goes on there. So very, very simple. You set up your clips, you get them all level and everything else, and then you come along and put your conduit on it. Really simple. This again is the corrugated conduit, and it's there just to show you what we can do with it, the sort of shapes you can get from it if you need to, whatever. You can get around some really nice tight bends and everything else. These saddles, normally as a rule, I'll put any of the saddles this way, orientated this way, with the screw to the bottom of it so it contains the weight and everything else. Not sure why I did that. Just be mindful of the fact that I always typically install any saddles that are in a horizontal conduit or supporting a horizontal conduit in that particular manner there, not upside down like that. And then again, your different conduits. So one-way junction box inspection T. We got a two-way inline junction box. We got a two-way 90-degree junction box. We got a three-way junction box going through our corrugated conduit up to another junction box. There's lots of different types of junction boxes, guys. There's plenty of junction boxes on the market these days. This is nothing more than a little bit of an overview of what you can get. You can also get these little bad boys here. You can get IP rated junction boxes. You can get standard little plastic junction, well, these are all plastic, but junction boxes that have an IP rating of 55 right up to 67. I've never used anything above 67. Don't know why you would want to. I'm sure there are possibly industries within the gas industry or other industries where you would want, sorry, let me backtrack a little bit there. You can get junction boxes that are hazardous area rated as well. Not that I would expect that many people out there would want to do too many hazardous areas in fuel farms or areas like that in life safety systems and everything. So you can get hazardous area junction boxes which have got different ratings. Again, I'm not going to go into that now, but it just gives you a bit of an idea. Yeah, hope you found that interesting. I hope you got something from it. And yeah, gonna have a bunch of videos coming out. I've still got a video that I've got to show you about the wires that I've dumped in a bucket of water and everything. They're still sitting out there. I haven't forgotten about them. I'm trying to get them to a point where they you can see exactly what I'm trying to point out on him anyway, the corrosion and the oxidization and everything else. So I'm still waiting for that one. I'll have a look at that probably in a couple of days, and we'll go through it and have a quick squiz, but I want to leave them a little bit longer than I originally anticipated. I said sort of 4 to 6 weeks, but I think I'm going to extend that on a little bit more.